On the very first episode of Squid Pro Quo, we talk about the Seattle Kraken making the playoffs. Will they or won't they? And is that even a good thing? We talk about Connor Bedard and the Chicago Blackhawks giving Philip Grubauer his flowers. Women's professional hockey is in Seattle with the Seattle Torrent. They start play this Friday. We are going to cover that. And we have exclusive looks from the Situation Room in Toronto. So much coming up on Squid Pro Quo. Stick around. We've got a good show for you. So, Glenn, why don't we introduce ourselves? I'm Zane Begg. You are
Glenn Dreyfus, unless I owe you money, in which case I'm Zane Begg.
Oh, okay. Well, that's alarming and confusing. Thankfully, we'll talk about that $20 you owe me later. We are with Davy Jones Locker Room. We cover the Seattle Kraken, and the Seattle Kraken, despite being projected to be 29th in the standings by the consensus before the season, are in a spot right now to make the playoffs. So the question is this real? And then we'll talk about if that's even a good thing.
It is real, and it's spectacular. And the reason it's real is because the Kraken have proved they can win games they shouldn't be winning. In St. Louis, they tie the game up with 2 seconds to go and then win it in overtime, a third period in which they had accomplished nothing for the first 19 minutes and 58 seconds. Then against San Jose, the rematch of that 6-1 loss to the Sharks, the Kraken could very well have fallen behind 3-1. They win a challenge over a goal by San Jose that looked like a goal, but the officials sided with the Kraken that it wasn't. So if you can play well and have the hockey gods smile on you, this could be a top 16 team ready for the tournament come April.
All right, so here's my counterpoint to this. The Kraken are right now second to last in expected goals for, and they're winning games in kind of miraculous fashion, which is generally not something that you can count on. The Blues win was very lucky, right? There was another game that came down to a real marginal situation that went Seattle's way, and they're getting puck luck. The save percentage is pretty high and maybe unsustainably so. I know that Don Lucian of The Athletic, who Kraken fans just love because his spreadsheets love do not love the Kraken, has them at currently today only 11% chance of making the playoffs. So what the nerds are saying is that this isn't real and it is not spectacular.
Well, maybe Dom has his thumb on the scale because he predicted the Kraken wouldn't make the playoffs, and he just wants to double down on that. But to be fair to old Dom, he wasn't alone. There were about a dozen different publications that rated the NHL teams from 1 to 32. And I think like 11 of the 12, they were singing off the same music, that the Kraken would finish 29th. I think one was highly optimistic and had the Kraken finishing 28th. But it was like, this roster isn't going to come close. It's not going to sniff the playoffs. Through 2 months, they're in the hunt.
They are in the hunt. Now, for maybe our newer fans to Kraken Nation who aren't aware, in year 2, so this is year 5 of the Kraken. In year 2, the Kraken went on an unexpected kind of miraculous playoff run. They were one of the worst teams in year 1, and then they just really turned it on. They were scoring a ton of goals, and yeah, they're giving up a lot of goals, but they're outscoring. I mean, they won a game 9-8, and another game 8-6, And it was just this shooting percentage extravaganza where they were just shooting at this really high percentage. They make the playoffs. They beat at the time, the defending Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche in 7 games. Then they advanced to lose to Dallas by 1 goal in also 7 games. And then the Kraken started thinking, well, maybe we're it. Maybe, yeah. What? We're actually better than we thought everyone thought they were. So, and John Forsland, the TV play-by-play, he told you that he thought maybe not necessarily a good thing.
The second year of the Kraken was basically a curse. And I say that because it teased the fans to a level that they couldn't believe. And when you get that far in the playoffs, it's an addiction. You want to get back and you want to taste that again. But most importantly, I think what it did, it teased the ownership level of the Kraken maybe too much. It didn't tease Ronnie at all. Ron Francis, not at all. He was the one guy the third year before that season started say, hey, let's put on the brakes here. We were probably ahead of the curve in the second year. And so I have always believed that. And I've always been, even in the third year of Dave Haxtell, I understand that they were struggling to score, but I never looked at the way they played defensively or systematically as an issue.
A curse, Glenn. We had the curse of the Bambino. We had the curse of there was like a goat or something.
In Chicago, yeah.
Yeah, there's the Simpsons curse for the Dallas Cowboys. And now we have the Kraken made the playoffs curse. It might not be a good thing because look, if we're going into this season on paper and we say, okay, this is a team that is 29th-ish in talent, maybe the evaluation's off by a lot, and they're the 20th most talented NHL team. It's still below average in talent. Now they go on this run. They win a bunch of close games. They lose a bunch of games in overtime. Those points accumulate. And they sneak into the playoffs. And then once you get into the playoffs, who knows what happens? It's a short series, very high variance. And maybe they win a playoff series or 2. Are we in the same spot that we were after year 2, where then this team that is really should be looking to rebuild and accumulate talent and acquire pieces so that they can go on sustainable runs? Or is this really the result of the team building that has, because they've been spending like they thought they were a playoff contender. Last year, they spent a ton of money on Chandler Stevenson and Brandon Montour and then finished very poorly. But maybe which is it? Is this really a curse if they make the playoffs this year?
John Forsland was exactly right that the year 2 playoff appearance ended up being a curse. And as he pointed out, not so much to the front office, which had a plan and wanted to stick to it, but ownership is more affected than front offices are by the fan base. And the fan base had a taste of playoffs, and then they expected playoffs. And maybe the directives from ownership down to the front office were, it's time to be buyers. And maybe that was premature. But in season 5, it is not the same situation. Here's why. Because the Kraken youngsters are starting to fit into this roster. Mm-hmm. Berkeley Catton, Shane Wright, Riker Evans. The fruits of strong Kraken drafts are just starting to show their worth. Jagger Firkus down at the AHL level was AHL Player of the Week this past week. So the Kraken have more reinforcements coming, and that's what will eventually lead this team to be a perennial playoff contender. Are they there yet? No, they're not to be thought of that way. But I don't think that this is a year 2 redo.
That's a fair point. It is. I just think that the high end talent, the high end scoring talent isn't there. And to be fair, they have been missing their leading scorer, their best scorer, Jared McCann, for most of the season, and he makes a huge difference. And maybe that's just any team losing their best scorer, especially if they're more evenly distributed talent wise across the roster.
They've
Is going to
managed
be
to do
effective.
what they've done with having as many as 6 regulars out of the lineup earlier this year, which is 1/3 of the number of skaters that you can put on the ice in an NHL game. So they have overcome a number of injuries to key players and still are keeping up with the NHL. The fans are antsy, sure they are, but I don't think anything is accomplished at this point by not making the playoffs, because once you get in, the NHL, more than any other professional North American league, if you get in, you have a chance to go past the first round. So who knows?
Someone that the Kraken did not get a chance to draft because they did have a strong season was number 1 overall pick Connor Bedard for the Chicago Blackhawks, who the Kraken play on Thursday. And Glenn, he's really, really good.
When a team around a young superstar isn't good, it tends to depress the numbers that you see from that young superstar. So even at the age of 19, some people were wondering, well, is Connor Bedard all that? Well, yeah, he is. 29 points in 19 games and showing enough maturity at the age of 20 that the Blackhawks just made him an assistant captain. When he plays the Kraken on Thursday, they will likely have stitched an A again to Bedard's sweater. So he is the leader in goals, the leader in points of a Blackhawks team that, hey, they have been 5-0-1 in their last 6 games. So this isn't the Blackhawks from 2023.
Well, we can join, the Kraken fans can join Blackhawk fans in the Dom Lucian Pitchfork and Torches Club, because he has them finishing just 3 spots above the Kraken, which is something like 25th, with only a 23% chance of making the playoffs. So Connor Bedard, Dom Lucian hates you, and it's personal.
There are milestones likely coming in this game as well. If Jamie Alexiak, the big rig, suits up, it will be his 700th NHL game. And if he suits up, it will be the first NHL game for Oscar Fisker-Molgaard, the second round Kraken pick in 2023, who has just been called up from Coachella Valley. He scored 3 goals, 7 assists in 14 games so far with Coachella Valley. So we could have a Kraken player with game number 700 and another one with game number 1.
Yeah, one thing about Bedard is, I just want to get back to him. The thing that really just blows me away is his shot. It's so deceptive, and the angle it comes off his stick, it comes off weird. It's hard to track, and it comes off so fast. And he has this whip fast release. Whoever is starting in goal for Seattle is going to be facing an absolutely lethal shooter. And maybe that person should be Philip Grubauer.
Well, funny you should mention that. I thought, and this may be the first and last time I ever say this, but in Detroit, where the Kraken started this road trip, the goalie who should have been between the pipes should not have been Joey Decord, but Philip Grubauer. And the reasons for
Reddit
that
is so mad at you right now. Like, the switchboard is lighting up. We're already getting angry phone calls. I don't even know how that's possible because this is a pre-recorded podcast. But just know that when you say something like that, you are starting or you are entering into the holy wars. So please proceed.
No one is a bigger Joey Decord fan than I am. For a guy who wears the mask, I still maintain he's the face of the franchise. He is an awesome goalie. His mix of charisma, athleticism, and the way he is a fan-friendly presence. I mean, he is the whole package. He's a goalie you want to bring home to mom. But Philip Grubauer came in relief of Matt Murray, who is injured. He'll be on the shelf for 6 weeks. And Grubauer came in the second period against the Sharks, made 15 saves. Half were spectacular. And the rest were really, really, really good. And he ended up playing 40 minutes and change and didn't give up a goal. And with Joey coming off of injured reserve, and after all, everyone says, well, he gave up one soft goal because he was rusty. Maybe he could have used another couple of days. But regardless of whether you agree with that or not, when a goalie plays lights out, maybe his best regular season performance for the Kraken in 4+ years for Philip Grubauer, you need to reward that performance with a start in the next game. You need to send the message to that goalie, well, our number one guy is back, so you're going back on the shelf for 2 weeks till we have our next back-to-back, and then you'll play, or whenever that is, I guess Sunday against the Islanders. But Philip Grubauer deserved to build on that performance against the Sharks. And like all goalies, he plays better when he gets regular work. So we all deserve to see, Zane, was this a fluke performance against San Jose? Or was this something that Grubauer could sustain into the next game? I wanted to see it. I thought he deserved it.
And in the case of the Sharks game, he came in cold, right? He came in the middle of the game. But Joey is the starter. Everyone knows that. And Grubauer has struggled. Everyone knows that as well. And maybe Coach Lambert felt like starting Grubauer again was flying too close to the sun. It doesn't seem like they're that close to the sun, but maybe he has less faith in Grubauer than we do.
Now that may be, and that may be a hidden reason why the team was carrying 3 goalies to begin with, not just because of the condensed schedule, which was the public reason, but Matt Murray is now out injured, maybe for 6 weeks. So Grubauer is your backup, which he wasn't necessarily at the start of the year. So it seems to me you want to build up that guy's confidence so that when you do play him, he's feeling like the team has regained trust in me. And I don't think sitting him down as soon as Joey could go back in sent him that message.
Yeah, I agree. Joey probably could have used night off. One of the goals that Joey did give up was called back because of an offside review. And Glenn, how do you feel about that offside call? Because I think we both have opinions.
Well, if I had hair, I'd pull it out.
Yeah, I have some if you want to borrow some. These luxurious locks that I have. I'm not rubbing it in, am I?
Anyway, this offside challenge is absurd because the Red Wings on their disallowed third goal were offside, I think, by 1/30th of a second. One frame of video, and a frame of video is 1/30th of a second. And here is an image to show you just how close it was from the KHN telecast. Yes, the Red Wing is over the line, but so is 3/4 of the puck. And if we were to advance this one frame further, the puck would be fully in too. Zane, my contention is no pair of human eyes like ones that the lines persons carry around can possibly determine whether a play is onside or offside by 1/30th of a second. For that matter, the players flying up and down the ice can't make sure that they are onside and not violating the letter of the rule by 1/30th of a second. This rule should never have been implemented so that it takes advantage of technology far beyond the ability of humans to keep up with. I mean, it was a great story. You have this rookie scoring a goal earlier on the deflection on this play. And here's another thing on this play, the play being onside or no determination made that it was offside, it had no bearing on the outcome of the play. The rookie skates in, he dekes Decord out of his jock and scores his second goal in the NHL right after he scored his first. The crowd goes wild. I have written about this on Davy Jones. It's the biggest buzzkill in the sport.
And the point of the rule is not like, oh, well, you scored, now let's go back and let's look at the Zapruder film and like 1 millimeter, literally 1/30 of a second. Here, this is the reason why the offside challenge rule was in place. This was a game. I don't know what year it was, probably like 2014, 2016, somewhere in there. And this is what the goal was. Matt Duchene is offside by a mile, and they called it a good goal, and everyone was incensed. And so that's what that's for. That's for, because that clearly affected the play. Duchene was way offside. The linesman, I think he was screened, which is why he didn't see it. And so they just missed it. And that is a good use of that. Home cooking. And we have more home cooking from the last homestand. We have our wonderful photographer, Jen Goldberg, who takes these fantastic pictures. And Glenn, you wanted to go through some of the photos that she has taken over the homestand.
The photos by Jen are wonderful. The captions about to provide are all my fault. Let's start with against the Jets, Brandon Montour and Ryan Lindgren telling Jonathan Taves, you may be a future Hall of Famer, but we don't care, so have some noogies. Similarly, Adam Larson letting Connor McDavid know, wherever you go, I go. Sure, it seemed like an odd time to play duck, duck, goose, but that's what Vince Dunn wanted, so his teammates played along. Look up in the sky, Ryan Lindgren and Ben Myers. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's a puck. Captain Jordan Everly celebrating a job well done with a salmon well yeeted. And now I find this one interesting, Zane. Montour and Mason Marchment, like the rest of us, are in awe of Yanni Newman's Finnish bird calls. Maybe you couldn't hear that from up in the press box, but they're impressive.
The press box is very far away, so I think I missed that one.
Ladies and gentlemen, glow in the dark Joey Decord in those third luminescent jerseys. I won't call them bioluminescent the way the press release does, because jerseys are not alive, therefore they cannot be bioluminescent. But then maybe I just complain a lot. Here's Montour again telling the Rangers, Johnny Brodzinski, talk to the glove. The defenseman's not listening.
Those luminescent ones, they do look a lot better with these close-up photos than they do on TV.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Seems
that's
to
hard.
wear them in to Climate Pledge. They look sharp, no doubt.
Yeah. It's just, you just can't, if you care about things like being able to read the numbers and clarity, then maybe not your favorite, but yeah, that looks really good.
Also against the Rangers in those third jerseys, little known NHL rule. Joey Decord informs Vladislav Gavrikov, sorry, buddy, but if you drop your stick in the crease, it belongs to the goalie. Boeing may have the 777, but the Kraken have a 7, Jordan Eberle, and a 77, Berkeley Catton. And by the way, Zane, the captain broke into the NHL when Berkeley was 3 years old. We waited years for Andrei Burakovsky to score breakaway goals at Climate Pledge Arena. And earlier this season, he did. Unfortunately, he was playing for the Blackhawks at the time. Some photos don't need a caption. I just like the composition of this photo. So much going on. I love still photography of hockey because it takes a game that moves like a blur and captures moments.
Especially I love the audience, looking at the faces and how intense it is.
Absolutely. Everybody's got their eye on the puck.
Yeah.
This is what I imagine that goalies see in their nightmares. 14 pucks at the same time.
But Joey gets 14 chances to shoot them.
I didn't think of that. Instead of him trying to block those pucks, maybe he was going to shoot those pucks. Good point.
Shoot or shoot.
That's what he said. Now, time for a quick ad break. Turn to the defense firm of Larson and Dunn for all your net front needs. Who cares if the Kraken were destroyed 6-1 by the Sharks in their first meeting? Ryan Winterton, number 26, scored his first NHL goal. That's all we're going to remember from that game. The forecast for Matt Murray's crease, 3 inches of fresh ice shavings, and 6 feet 2 inches of Blue Jackets forward Adam Fantilli. Hockey gloves. I don't need no stinking hockey gloves. Ryan Lindgren, the Warrior with bare-handed defense. Or maybe he had just listened to Billie Jean. And finally, despite visual evidence to the contrary, this is not, I repeat, not where hockey pucks come from.
We also have women's hockey, the Seattle Torrent, the Professional Women's Hockey League. They are starting their debut on Friday against their regular season debut against the Vancouver Golden Eyes.
The Torrent, I expect this to be a penalty we hear this year. 2 minutes for illegal downloading. Thank you. Good night. Hey, there was some Torrent news that the coach Steve O'Rourke broke today, and pay attention, NHL coaches, and Lane Lambert in particular. Steve O'Rourke named his starting goalie on Wednesday for the game on Friday. It'll be Corinne Schroeder. But yes, you can name your starting goalie publicly before he skates out on the ice. You're not believing it. But that's what happened. And I'll tell you something about Corinne Schroeder. There may be better goalies in the PWHL. Maybe they're not. But I'll guarantee you she's the smartest. She graduated from Boston University, magna cum laude. And I don't even know what that is.
Do you think that he named the starting goalie 2 days in advance because the game is in Canada and they're on the metric system and time works differently?
Yeah, well, right now with the exchange rates, they get 40% less minutes.
Yeah, that makes sense. So really, it's like he's naming it the morning, but you have to convert. There's a time zone.
Or maybe he doesn't subscribe to that silliness that who you name as your starting goaltender really makes a whole hell of a lot of difference to the other team.
So you were in Canada for the Hockey Hall of Fame, and you got to take a look at the Situation Room at the was it the NHL headquarters in Toronto.
Correct.
And you took some photos, which is really cool that they allowed you to do so. And I think these are really fascinating.
I was in Toronto for the recent annual NHL. Well, it's not actually the NHL, it's the Hockey Hall of Fame inductions. I started off the weekend hosting a panel discussion at the Toronto Sport Card Expo. That's hockey historian Paul Patsku on the left. And in the middle, a rare species, George Pursuit, a California seal. And you don't see many of those in captivity. Before we get to the Hall of Fame, I also want to tell you, Kraken fans, if you get frustrated by the Kraken, just remember they're not the Toronto Maple Leafs. You probably can't see the shot counter from this Sunday night game I went to, but the Carolina Hurricanes have 43 shots. The Toronto Maple Leafs have 20 shots. That's what I think it is. But
that sure looks like what that is.
It was 20-3 the shots in the third period. Carolina had multiple breakaways. The Toronto defense is beyond bad. So take it from me, you've got it better, Kraken fans, than they do in Toronto, at least right now. Okay, on to the inductions, and I'm going to focus on Kraken connections, like that gentleman in the middle, Eddie Olchuk, who was very popular. You see him getting stopped by a couple of guys who want to show him something on their phone. Eddie couldn't walk more than 2 steps without being stopped. Popular guy. And by the way, Zane, anytime you want to jump in, please do. Now, to the actual exhibits. There's an exhibit for each of the 4 NHL divisions. Philip Grubauer is the representative of the Kraken. There is also another display concerning outdoor games. And Jordan Eberle, who was not on tranquilizers at the game, although from this photo you might wonder if he was, but you see him wearing that throwback sweater that the Kraken wore at the 2024 Winter Classic. The Kraken already have a Hall of Famer. It's their former GM and current president of hockey operations, Ron Francis, and his plaque starts by calling him one of the classiest players ever to play the game of hockey. Each team also has a team display, and the Kraken one I'll show you in 3 closer parts. The top, of course, is Matty Beniers. The middle is Alex Barré-Boulet, who played 2 games for the Kraken in their inaugural season. This jersey is actually from the warm-up prior to their first ever franchise game in Las Vegas in 2021. Boulet did not end up playing in that game. And below, sweaters from the Kraken minor league affiliates, the Kansas City Mavericks, and that Coachella Valley Firebird uniform, that is Shane Wright's. He played more than 24 playoff games for the Firebirds in the 2023 final against the Hershey Bears. Why do we show you Jennifer Botterill, one of this year's honored inductees? Because her brother is the general manager of the Kraken, Jason Botterill. And during her Hall induction speech, Here's when Jennifer gave a shout out to Jason.
I was fortunate to grow up in an environment that was full of encouragement. And Jason, you showed me what motivation was like. Thank you for not making me be the goaltender every single time we played hockey, even though I was the younger sibling. I loved our shinny games. I loved walking with you to the end of the street to the Wildwood Community Center, and we could shoot pucks together. We played basement hockey together. And Jason, your drive to be an elite hockey player was contagious. Seeing your choices motivated me to try to achieve the highest level as well.
Very nice from Jennifer Botterill. Now let's get to the Situation Room. And to get to the Situation Room, you have to take an elevator to the 10th floor. And in that elevator lobby are hundreds and hundreds of hockey pucks affixed to the walls. And as you can see, some of those are Kraken pucks. Here is the brand new renovated NHL Situation Room. Some call it the War Room. They prefer that it be called the Situation Room. These are 85-inch screens. They are able to pick up the home and road broadcasts of as many as 16 games in one night, including the night I was there, the Kraken game against the Dallas Stars. You can see on the top right the Kraken broadcast. The Dallas broadcast is on the left, and in the lower left, dedicated cameras shooting straight down to both goals.
That's so cool.
And as you can see here on the big screen, each game, what's listed are the two referees and the two linespersons, so that if the Situation Room needs to confer, they know who they'll be talking to. The H that you see in a blue rectangle also indicates that the picture right now is the home team broadcast, and you can't really see it, but just to the right and below is the name of the person assigned to watch that game.
So it's a big room, and they have like all the games going on, and then they have a person watching each game. Is that?
That's correct. They also have a retired NHL official to consult with, and they have a vice president of officiating. His name is Rod Pasma, I think is his name. They are all there. So reviews go through several different steps if need be. Again, these are the monitors focusing on the Kraken Stars game. The Stars graphics on the left. There's John Forsland and JT Brown preparing to do their introductory stand-ups. And spoiler alert, folks, those are not live. Those are taped 15 minutes ahead of the actual game broadcast starting, so that the broadcasters can be in their seats and looking at the ice when the game starts. Just one more to close it out. You can see there's consoles, there's telephones, there's all the electronic goodies. Think of the way you would imagine your most fantastic man or woman cave. This is better. Oh, and one more thing, Zane. When there aren't NHL games going on and it's on a Sunday, even though this was Toronto, they were watching an NFL game.
The NFL rules all, apparently, even the NHL Situation Room. Very cool. Well, I think that wraps it up for us. If you're watching on YouTube, if you could subscribe to the channel, it would really help us out. And otherwise, thank you so much for staying all the way to the end. We appreciate it, and we will talk to you next time.